Hello everyone, my name is Kirill Yudintsev. I'm the creative director of Gaijin Entertainment. Today I'll be answering a number of your questions. Aha question. A lot of people are asking about the P-47 and its performance in random battles. They ask if we're going to do something or change something about it. First of all, we just adjusted its BR. It'll be a bit higher now. Then we'll work with the statistics, we'll see why and how it affects the outcomes in random battles, and then, depending on what we see, we might introduce further changes in the nearest future. Thank you all for writing about things that concern you. It's very important for us, as it allows us to improve the game. Many players ask us about new game modes. We actually organize a lot of different events with various rules that deviate from what you see in random battles. The thing is that it's rather difficult to introduce new game modes to random battles, because we want them to be fair and balanced. This makes it quite challenging. Everything should be balanced, right? If we want changes to be so, to make fair game modes, especially the asymmetric ones that a lot of players want, if we want it to be engaging and fair, it's much more difficult than to make a separate event that inherently has limitations like what kind of vehicles are allowed, how many players are in, etc. That's why, first of all, do participate in our events. Right now it's Chronicles, for example. There are a lot of interesting mechanics out there for you to try. Apart from that, we're currently testing World War. This game mode has a lot of new mechanics, such as convoy and escort missions. These are missions of a completely new type. They are asymmetric. It's all very engaging and historical. Well, it's much closer to what most real combat missions were than the balanced skirmishes of two even sides. These will feel more like combat scenarios. That's why I strongly suggest that you should try it. Sign up for it, leave your feedback. We never test new game modes and new mechanics in random battles. We don't want to break it. We do it in our events or during tournaments, or like now, in World War, which is completely new level altogether. Leave your feedback. Maybe some of these mechanics will make it to random battles as well. We'll see. Many people ask us about Italian armor. A lot of players already own Italian premiums and aircraft. There are already Italian tanks in-game, 2 premium machines. A huge thanks to all who buy them, support our game, and leave their feedback. We're already working on a full-size ground tech tree for Italy. We'll do our best to release it this year. Maybe some tanks will appear in the game even earlier than that. Creating the Italian ground tech tree is a very challenging process. We do love pizza and pasta, but it doesn't make it easier to find data on all those vehicles. Many players are concerned about the role the M1 Abrams plays in random battles, where it performs pretty well, mostly thanks to its excellent survivability. We've only implemented the feature the Abrams has in real life, that it has a chance of surviving a fire in the ammunition storage. In our game it works even better than in real life though, because in reality there was always a chance that the engine and transmission compartment would catch fire as well, and to prevent that you had to rotate the burning turret. It's a very lengthy process during which the tank is obviously unable to fight. In the end, the fire disables the vehicle anyway, and the crew, as a general rule, usually bails out at this point. We plan to make it as realistic as possible. If your ammo rack is on fire, you'll have to turn your turret away from the engine transmission compartment. That's the first thing. The second is that right now the piece of armor that separates the rack and the fighting compartment is way too sturdy, making the tank practically invincible to the attacks from the rear. It's not the way it works in real life though, so we'll be working on that as well. Perhaps if your rack catches fire, we'll make it impossible for a reload to finish. We'll see. Maybe that will be enough, because right now it's way tougher than in real life and tougher than its opponents in the game.
Чересчур живуч в сравнении с реальной жизнью, не говоря уж о
After we introduced new top tanks for a number of countries in the latest patch, many of you started to question the competitiveness of Japan, France, and Germany in high ranks. In one of our upcoming big updates, we plan to introduce new vehicles for France. Japan is in for a treat as well. Maybe Germans will get a production Leopard too, so they will get more powerful vehicles as well.
И, возможно, немцам добавим серийный Леопард 2. Так что у них тоже будет более мощная техника, чем сейчас.
By the way, the info about these plans was already shown on our website, as well as a lot of other exciting pieces of information. Check out the news on our website right now. Here's a kind of a follow-up to the last Q&A session. A lot of our players write that these 6th-rank and top-tier aircraft aren't that difficult to implement, that the early self-guided and guided missiles weren't that effective and will not change the flow of the match, that it's kind of a nice thing to have that doesn't change everything, doesn't make War Thunder a new game, that is completely different.
Значимой изюминкой, но все еще не меняет все, не превращает в другую игру, и которая совершенно не похожа.
And all of that makes sense, but you have to understand that if we introduce just the F-100 and the MiG-19, it will make War Thunder into a game about duels. And our game is very different from that after all. There are more than 2 nations. We have bombers and other types of aircraft. That might look fairly easy, and actually it is, to implement 2 aircraft that can fight each other on even terms. But we need to make it interesting for all countries, to make it balanced, to make it possible for bombers to play with them, because guided missiles or heat seekers weren't that effective against fighter aircraft, but were much more effective against bomber aircraft.
Те ракеты не очень эффективные, которые выпустил, забыл, первого поколения инфракрасное наведение, или которые управляемые, а против бомбардировщиков они намного более эффективны.
This might even out the field with top-tier bombers, but it will change the game in a lot of ways nevertheless. All in all, War Thunder isn't just about 2 aircraft. It isn't just about duels. That's why it's a lot of work, and we want it to be, as much as possible, a whole new level for both aviation and gameplay, not just an attention grabber in the form of 2 supersonic jets and their missiles. That's why that requires a bit more in terms of our effort, with a lot of tests and brainstorming involved. Thanks for watching this episode of our Developer Q&A. Thanks for watching the previous one and writing your questions. Leave questions and feedback. We do read it all. It's all very educational and actually exciting. Leave likes and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.